There's a civil war brewing in the Democratic Party. And before I get into the nuts and bolts of reopening the government, I want to tell you about the absolute meltdown going on with the Democrats. The vote that busted the filibuster keeping the government closed on Sunday night included 8 Democrats and 52 Republicans.
We have support from enough Democrats, and we're going to be opening up our country. It's too bad it was closed, but we'll be opening up our country very quickly.
Now, it's worth noting that 2 of those 8 Democrats are retiring after next year, and the other 6 are not up for re-election in 2026. So that might explain their willingness to cross the aisle. All 8 are also more ideological centrist, and their vote enraged the more progressive wing of the party, who believe after 40 days of a hot mess, they walked away with nothing. But the far left members aren't training their anger at their colleagues. Instead, they have just one target, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, who voted no. California Congressman Ro Khanna posted on X, quote, "Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for?" And some progressive Senate hopefuls planning to run in the 2026 midterms shared similar sentiments. Even Stephanie Shaheen, who's running for Congress in New Hampshire, she bashed the vote. Why is that significant? The sitting senator from the Granite State who voted yay is Jean Shaheen. Yeah, her mother. It's all more evidence that the party is more or less rudderless right now. The high fives and pats on the back last week after the elections have just not solved the problem of what the Democratic Party stands for or who's leading it. President Trump is threatening the BBC with a $1 billion lawsuit over doctored footage of the speech he gave on January 6, 2021, before the Capitol riot. A whistleblower told the Telegraph newspaper that editors spliced together 2 clips of Trump where he says, quote, "We're going to walk down to the Capitol and then I'll be there with you and we fight. We fight like hell." Now, those 2 statements occurred 50 minutes apart, but putting them together makes it look like he pretty directly instructed supporters to storm the Capitol. The manipulated footage was included in an episode of the program Panorama. BBC Director General Tim Davie and BBC News CEO Deborah Turnus have already resigned. In a letter obtained by the Post, the president's legal team has given the BBC until Friday at 5 p.m. to, quote, "retract the false, defamatory, disparaging, and inflammatory statements made about President Trump." BBC Chair Samir Shah issued a statement to a UK parliamentary committee apologizing for the, quote, "error in judgment" that led to the clip. The International Olympic Committee is reportedly ready to ban transgender women from competing in all female categories. The Times of London reports that the change is set to be announced early next year. Under the current policy, trans women have been allowed to compete in the female category as long as tests reveal reduced testosterone levels. But the final decision has always rested with the individual sports. Now, exactly how that policy will be changed, unclear at the moment. In fact, an IOC spokesperson denied that a decision has even been made. They did confirm to the Post, however, that the IOC conducted a science-based review of the athletic advantages of competitors who are born biologically male. The findings of that study were presented in a closed-door meeting last week. The big question now is whether these new rules, if they are released in the coming months, would be enforced for the Winter Olympics in Italy that begin this February.
For more on this story and everything else you could possibly want to know, check out the New York Post in print or online. And don't forget, like and subscribe to the New York POSTcast wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. You'll be glad you did.